right then, we have with us the mother of electronica, Faiza, by far an artist that revolutionized the way that the Indian market consumed new electronic sounds. Such an honor to have you on the interview here, Faiza. How are you, Ma?
I'm really good. Such an honor to be here. Thank you so much for saying such wonderfully kind things.
Our pleasure.
Feels great to see you again after such a long time.
Yes, absolutely. It's been quite a while since
I have to say,
we last met.
you've got more hair than last time.
Well, I didn't really get the time to shave this time, so probably that's why. So how have you been? What have you been up to all this while? There has been a visible evolution in your sound. Have you adopted some new means of mixing your sets and the sound delivery and the music delivery? Is there something new that you've done?
Well, I think the music is definitely evolving. Since we last met, I think music has just become so full of so many genres that the music right now is very exciting, and there's a lot more kind of ethnic influenced music that's coming out, you know, be it from anywhere in the world culturally. My sets have changed a bit more. I've also been starting to do my own bootleg remixes. So taking tracks that I really love or that I see on a dance floor really work, and then just adding flavors that I love. So adding, you know, these temple bells and Indian alaps and Indian chants, or a bhajan, or just some Indian flavors, some tabla. So now I'm playing a lot more sets which have music that no one else is able to play, because I've actually kind of remixed it. And it's not a legal remix, it's just for myself or to put up on my Soundcloud page. So that's been a new discovery for me, and I've done like 30 remixes, which in the last 1 year. But I'm really enjoying the process of the organic process, you know. I'm not doing it for anyone other than myself and my own expression. You know, it's not something that I've got to release this on my label, or I'm under time pressure, or someone's paying me for it. So it's really just a labor of love, and I'm feeling more and more positive about what I'm able to put together. You know, it's been a really organic process, and so I think my sound's changed a little bit there. I feel like being known for doing very powerful, energetic dance floor sets where people are screaming and there's an eruption of energy. I think you can also express that power and have people experience or be touched by the music, but it doesn't necessarily have to be dance floor. So that's given me a real chance to go back 20 years and put together lots of healing music and lots of very powerful, emotional, touching frequencies in music, which normally I don't get a chance to play. So I think now I am rekindling a lot of my past, which got me here. I'm able to rekindle that vibe and that frequency for myself, which has been really healing for me, and I know I can share it with the world and it also be healing. But maybe things that people don't know me for, because it's more than 20 years ago that I was playing at chill out sets all around festivals. That's how I first entered DJing. So I feel a little bit liberated in this time by not having a live audience, or being feeling as though I've got to deliver something very explosive.
So you said that you've sort of reconnected with your preferred style of music, what it was 20 years ago. How has that impacted your workflow? You know, when you sit down to work on a track as a producer or as a remixer, how has that freedom impacted your workflow in creating that piece of music?
I'm really bad with structure. I like a
Yeah.
little bit of structure and then lots of just free floating. So I'm
Right.
pretty random. So I'm just like, oh, that's a great track. All right, let's stick that in live and let me just feel and let me listen to lots of different samples that I have, or let me play a track that I liked, its progression.
Okay.
I think not knowing how you do what you do is also quite liberating. It happens, and then maybe I can feel like it's not just me, it's the universe, or you could say God, or I don't know what. It's bigger than just me because it's not planned. I would say the stuff that I've been doing now from my home has been more planned than I've ever done to DJ ever.
Okay. All right.
um, which has been really weird. So for me, it's been quite different to put together these sets. Like I did this healing mix, which was 5 hours long, and that's 50 tracks. And I would just, if I was at a party or at an event or something, I would just do that live, and I wouldn't think too much. But I really thought about it, you know, and I put together a folder of like 80 tracks, of which I knew I would only play probably 50. That already was quite constraining for me. And I spent maybe 2 weeks selecting tracks, listening to different tracks in different environments and trying to see how they fitted. That's something I just never do. I don't like homework. I think there's going to be new expressions. I mean, I'm really proud of this new mix, this 50 tracks, 100 BPM. Every track is 100 BPM. It
Okay.
doesn't move from that 100 BPM, but it has so many different styles and countries and influences and cultures, and you know, and 5 hours long. That to me is like something epic, you know, and I'm very proud
True.
of that. I know what went in it, and I know I even put a track list up on SoundCloud so that people could actually see where all of this was from. So I think it's all a learning curve still, first of all. And secondly, I think if you can stay inspired with yourself, you know, and what you're doing, and it can keep, I don't know, it can keep feeding you and keep inspiring you again, then I think it's great, you know. But it's
Right.
definitely been a new way of expressing myself, I think. For me, the most important thing is engagement with the crowd and the feedback from the crowd. So for me to DJ with actually not seeing a single person other than myself or the people in the room with me has been really different. And I've enjoyed it, but I never thought I would.
So, speaking about the remixes that you've been working on in the recent past,
Mm-hmm.
have you been using any new softwares or any new techniques to kind of bring these remixes together?
I'm just stumbling along, pressing
Okay.
buttons and trying effects, and I
All
go
right.
by my ears.
Right.
So for me, I hear it. I don't, you know, like even if I'm in live and I'm just trying to make let's say a sample the right BPM and it sounds all okay. Many times it might look off on
Right.
not on the beat, but I go by my ear.
Right.
So I don't use many plugins. I don't have any plugins. Do you know, I think I'm somebody who started DJing off tapes. So I think, you know,
Yes.
like you give me a pair of scissors and some sticky tape and a piece of paper and a pen. I can still do a million things, you know. I think just keep it easy, and sometimes the simplicity. It can be just a very simple reverb on a voice, and you know the right volume in the right place. It can sound incredible. It doesn't need 55 plugins using 80% of your CPU, and then some amazing mastering that costs €1,000 or something. I mean, you know what I mean. I think you can, if you go by your own senses as an indication. I know I can trust those. I'm random as fuck, babe.
Like you said, you've started this new set online where you play from your bedroom, and I know that there are a lot of people tuning in and religiously checking them out.
Well,
So
what's been really great is I see a lot of DJs checking in just to see like what's she doing now, you know, and I
right.
really do try to do an incredible setup to keep it interesting, like smoke machine and lasers and amazing lights, and I'm constantly trying to push the envelope on what I've done before and try to find a new location in my home. Like we even were thinking about how can I DJ from the bath, you know, or
Okay. Wow.
maybe DJ in the kitchen. Like how can we set it up in the
Right.
kitchen? And so this is all new for me. This is not, I wasn't doing live streams from my house, and I didn't have to manage all the technical stuff before. So
Right.
but I'm really looking forward to it. I think this is a birthing of real creativity for people. We've had a really good rest. I mean, like I've never slept as much as I've slept in the last few months. I think I speak for all of us.
Very much so. Very much so.
I feel like there's a chance for us all to really bring some more magic, you know, some more soul, which has been desperately needed in our own creative expression and also in the world generally, and our interactions with other people and how we choose to live our life in a more conscious way. And I think there's new ideas floating around that we're tapping into, and I think there's a whole new way of being which we can now kickstart, which we couldn't before because we hadn't stopped. We were still in a loop,
True.
you know, of
True.
a kind. So I'm enjoying this, you know, I'm enjoying this discovery, you know, on a personal level, and also I think for the world.
The kind of music that you're putting out right now, the soulfulness, the more mindful and a little more relaxed and calmer kind of music that you're putting out, it's very clear that you have taken the time to you know reflect and kind of include these aspects in the music that you are giving out to your fans. Now, since there is time for, like you said, people to connect with the community, with their peers, with friends, etc. At this point in time, or any time in the near future, would you be keen to collaborate with other artists?
I love doing things with other people. I think that, you know, collaborating equally, where people bring the totality of who they are and sincerely, you know, just for those reasons with their expression, and, you know, with people who you resonate with, you know, creatively or personally. I think they're always very exciting, and I think there's so much that you learn personally and you grow together in different ways. I think that's very valuable, and I always welcome it, you know. So sure, I would love to collaborate with on many different levels, you know. You know, musically, visually, putting together things, either having, you know, either virtually or, you know, in the flesh. I mean, I love to do that. I find there's so much growth in that. So
Right.
I'm always looking for anyone who wishes to collaborate. Actually, I love it. I think it takes you outside of your comfort zone. It takes you outside of your own creative flow. But you can bring your creative flow with someone else's creative flow, and you both make something that's maybe a very new expression, which you wouldn't have come to on your own, you know?
Right, right. In future sessions of your online performances, is there something new that you would like to include, whether it's, the visuals or we're talking from the technical point of view, so the visual
Yeah,
appeal or something like that?
I really want to do something really much bigger now. I'm looking at like how, for example, Circle, they take beautiful locations and they do a drone and they show the surrounding. I really believe that clubs won't be open for a good year, this year at least, maybe next year, and things are going to be very different, I think, post-corona.
Right.
The economy has been really hit as well, and I think there's going to be a lot of change happening, which I welcome and I embrace, but I do know that it's going to be challenging, and you know, you just have to think differently and maybe think outside of the box, you know. So I'm thinking of doing, maybe going to beautiful places on my own, or with a very small team of people, one other person or two people, and I have all the equipment, DJ equipment, and setting it up in
Right.
a beautiful location and just filming it and doing a live set. It doesn't even need to be a loud music, because it would be a direct feed into the live stream.
Right.
And being able to shoot it with different cameras in different ways and make it much more kind of engaging and interesting, you know. I'd like to do something like that, maybe. I don't know how any DJs and artists are going to generate any money, but I think right now, I think we all realize that we can do with much less than we thought we could as humans in a lot of ways.
Correct.
Not just money, but energetically, we can consume a lot less, you know.
Right.
And I'm just looking forward to doing interesting projects which nourish me, either by myself or with other people, and that are pushing at least the boundaries of what I've done before, technology-wise, you know. So I'm planning on at least pushing my life experience, you know. I'm in you know, having a few gizmos, a few lights, a few beautiful things that people can watch, and then trying to make it more professional and more engaging. That's my
Right.
mission for the next few weeks, and I need to see how practically that's going to work. You know, you can have a plan to do it, but it's actually doing it that counts. I just want
Yeah.
to share with you is that
I mean,
I'm going to be 50 this year.
okay. So is there something special
But still,
planned?
it's come as a shock to myself. Yeah, well, I had planned to do like an amazing tour. I
All
had
right.
planned to take 6 months off and go traveling around the world.
Right.
Neither of those things obviously are going to happen. But for my own self, I was like, okay, I'm going to be 50 and I want to be the best version of myself. So this has been really magical for me, because that's also, I don't know, given me a lot of how can I say, inner strength. It's brought me some more inner peace, I think, some more
Right.
inner silence, and I've had a lot more time to be able to do things. For a lot of us to integrate new things,
Right.
you need that space in your head. I don't know, is it only me? But I need that space to integrate something new. So I don't know, it's been very kind of serendipitous that this time has come, and you know, and I'm
Yes.
in a new stage in my life.
It's clear that you've seen so much uh, uh, that life has to offer, not just personally, but as a musician, as a DJ, as a creative professional. What would your advice be to the younger generation of creative professionals, not just DJs, but musicians and artists across the board, especially during a time like this?
I think it's a time for new ideas, new thoughts, new ways of looking at yourself, what you do, new ways of, if you're running a business, how is that business going to function? You know, be it artists or musicians or record labels or even a shop. You know, I mean, like, how our business is going to function, and how is that going to, what is the future going to be? And yeah, I think you already need to think of this now. And I think exploring learning, I think it's a perfect time for learning. If you wanted to learn any instrument, now's the time. You want to learn new language, now's the time. You know, we're just extending our knowledge bank, extending our personal well-being. You know, if you're going to meditate, now you've got time. I mean, you've got no excuse. It's, I think now more than ever before, this is a creative like an unplugging from the system. And yeah, I think, learn, now's the time to learn.
Right.
Because now the priority is not making money, because right now, who's making money? I
True.
think most of us that were doing something that was in the entertainment, especially industry,
Yes.
that's, and I know a lot of people in the entertainment industry aren't necessarily super qualified for anything else, or qualified generally.
Well,
We're all
you could say
blaggers.
that. Yes, very much so.
Yeah, and I think DJs especially, they're just, I don't
Well,
know how
that's the
talented in
majority of the
anything
of the
else.
entertainment industry, actually. you know,
Useless
well,
bunch of people, and I'm in the list, and so are you, Elton.
well, of
So,
course, by all
you
means,
know, now's the
and proud
time.
about it, actually, you know.
Yeah,
No,
we're out of the
because
system of
this
a kind, you
true,
know.
true.
But I think as well, now we can develop our skill set maybe a little bit more, and our own
Right.
personal spiritual, you know, evolution can get a kickstart.
It's common knowledge that a lot of nightlife venues and promoters and all these venue owners, if they aren't already going through a tough time, then you know they are definitely bracing for a very, very difficult or an uphill challenge in the near future. So, is there anything that you would like to say to them, or you know, any words of advice or encouragement or anything of that sort?
I think at this point, less is more. I think we were really running on, okay, right, this is working, let's now make this place and this place and this place and that place. And I think it was a lot of mindlessness, and the focus was definitely on economies. Um, I had already, for the last 5 years, I've been doing less and less and less gigs. You know, 10 years ago, I was doing 100 gigs. I got very sick about 8 years ago, and I had to make some decisions on who I wanted to be. I remember us having this conversation even
Right.
then.
Yes.
And I've been working towards that. So I, unlike most artists, I just do 6 months of work spread out over a year. And I've been doing less and less and less bookings and less taking less and less gigs, taking what I want to do, and realizing that actually that's not sustainable for me to do loads and loads and loads. What's sustainable for me to do soulfully is to do less. So I think this is now that time where we think less is more. And I think for the people that obviously are, their businesses are either going to go down or they're going to become less cost efficient, I think that's something that maybe we look at the priorities of what is money and what's our vision for who we want to be, you know. Like, you know, I'll openly say that I've had a great career, and I feel so blessed that, you know, I'd be a liar if I said I didn't make money. And I think a lot of the promoters made money, and a lot of the big restaurants made money, and venues made money, and those that opened just now and didn't make any money, well, that's sad, but what to do? But most people in this industry at some point have made money. So I think we now have to look at what are our priorities, you know.
Right.
I'm sure with everything that crashes and burns, Phoenix can rise from the ashes, you know, not to give up. And maybe you were doing something because it was a business and it was a formula and it was working. And now you just have to think differently, but everything is possible. I think it just depends on your priorities and how much you really think about things and think differently. I don't think you can think the same as pre-corona to post-corona
Not
in
at all,
any way.
because yeah, because situations have changed
Mm.
drastically. So has the environment, so has everyone around us. So
Everything.
yes,
And a lot of facilities that were available will no longer be available. So,
true,
you know, everything across the board has taken a hit. And
true,
I think that we have to look at it positively, because we can't change that. But what we can do is change what we do today and change what we do tomorrow. But we
right.
definitely can't change what we did yesterday. Take it positively. And I suggest everybody to do that, because banging your head on a brick wall isn't going to change anything. Saying why and how and how. No, find a solution. And there are going to be creative solutions.
Correct.
I'm
You know,
happy to see so many people doing charity work by going out and helping the less needy, you know, and not necessarily going to an NGO and just giving them a check, but actually on a street level, handing out food. And, you
correct.
know, and I just think there's been some amazing positive spiritual connections, you know, through this time.
Correct.
Kindness of people, strangers.
Right.
Kindness of people who are currently working, even though they might be more vulnerable working with people, they're still doing that, to see, you know, yeah, to see humans helping each other. And you've got to
Correct.
just stay hopeful, believe in yourself. And just try to look at things differently, because only
Right.
then you can evolve something, you know. I mean, we all need
Right.
to eat, we all
Correct.
need to survive, we need shelter, we need just the basics, you know, all of us. And that's
Correct.
made us all at least equal in that.
True.
I want to say one more thing. I'm so
Yes.
sorry.
Yes.
What
Please.
I also
Please.
love about this virtual thing, the whole virtual everything not being actually face to face,
Hmm.
I think it's actually taken away a lot of the status of people, and it's brought a lot more equality, because it means anybody with a smartphone can attend anything.
Right.
And I really like that. I really think that that's brought us collectively more together, and has brought more equality. You know, like, give an example. Maybe there might be people who might not have been able to come to my gigs because of their economic, you know,
Conditions.
situation.
Right.
Yes, or maybe there might be people who maybe would be refused entry for whatever reason. Either they, you know, they didn't look up to scratch, or they whatever. Okay, now this is an equaler, because now with the smartphone you can get to experience me or experience the music, and you don't have to pay anything. It's not on economy. And if you've got a smartphone and I don't know, you're on the community, you can experience it. And I think that's I just think that's a wonderful thing, because things were becoming inaccessible, and inaccessible was somehow cool,
True.
you know, for the elite, for the exclusive, the VVVVVIP. That's where it was all going. And now
Correct.
that's so far away from that, because economies are not involved. And I personally just think that's amazing. I think that's great. That's just positive. I also think that, you know, music also has a culture around it. You know, the
Right.
music you listen to, or it culturally does affect you. So I think as well, it's going to give a chance for maybe a lot of people who didn't have access to that community of music because of
Correct.
the financial or the status or whatever. I don't, you know. They now have accessibility, which means there's also a chance that that can affect their life, you know,
Correct.
in a
Correct.
significant way. Music is for everybody. There should be no status on music,
Correct.
but somehow it had got to the point where it was about being cool, you know, how cool you were, and how the music was cool, and the place was cool, and the drinks were cool, and the prices were cool, and everything was really cool.
Correct.
Uh, and now I just think it's a leveler. And I think it's wonderful that now maybe there are people who have access to me who couldn't have access to me before, and in a very emotional way,
Correct.
um, because of money. And I just think I think that's the way it should have been, and now that is what's happening. And I think it's definitely going to be a game changer. And I think the way, you know, I think festivals with 100,000 people are going to be a thing of the past. I don't know for a good few years whether things like that are going to happen. So I think there's going to be new ways of bringing everyone together, and I think it will still be accessible to nearly everybody, which
Okay.
I think is amazing, because on platforms, people don't want to make it limited. They want to make it unlimited, you know. And I just think it's wonderful. It just means the world somehow, there's lots of more information, you know,
Right.
that's accessible to people, and a lot more food for thought.
Okay, that's wonderful. And uh, like, are you looking to be a part of uh, a few initiatives like this, or do you see yourself spearheading any such initiatives?
I'm thinking about maybe doing some few courses online that might be available to people. And this isn't anything to do with economies. This is more about, yeah, keeping myself busy and sharing my knowledge, you know.
Right.
Um, Maybe curating different shows, or putting together different um, podcasts or streams, collaborating with other people, maybe trying to do something, like I said, which was visually more engaging.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, this is all very new for me, you know, and I feel like I'm a bit more invigorated and I'm feeling more creative work-wise. But I want to try and have a visibility out there because I do actually miss the performing.
Right.
I, I feel a bit grounded, you know, and
Well,
unable to take my wings and hear people screaming and see just people so ecstatic and so happy, and that does feed something for you, you know. I'm sure a lot
correct.
of people who are in the entertainment industry are missing this, you know. This human exchange of energies where you feel depleted but you suddenly feel refreshed and you feel renewed and you feel loved or you feel adored or you feel, I don't know, it's just a wave of so many different energies from other people. I'm finding new ways to translate my creative energy, and let's see where and how and what happens, you know. But I feel very liberated that, you know, I'm not doing anything for money. So that's actually, I'd like to be, but it's not
Right.
important, actually. That's what I want to say. I mean, it wasn't that important before, but it had more importance than it does right now. But right now, I have lots of other wishes, and it's not around the money. And I think that has brought a lot more creative energy. We're much more human. I can see,
Yes.
I totally get a much more kind of human interactions with people. We've lost the robots. And
True.
also because I think when it's around business, people become like a calculator.
True.
And when, you know, now it's not around business, you know, it doesn't matter. You go out to buy vegetables, you don't have an income, you're all in the same boat. It's
Correct.
just so, it's definitely, it's humbling and made us all much more, I think, better humans, if you can take it in a positive way. I mean, there's
Exactly.
definitely a lot of crazy people out there and there's some nutty stuff happening, but I don't even
Well,
look at that. That's always going to happen. And in the times of huge change and transformation, a lot of nutters come out.
yeah, I really hope that we can work uh, with each other and for each other, and stand with each other and for each other, because that's the only way that
I think it's
that we can come
happening.
out right.
I think on a one-to-one level, that's definitely happening. You know,
Yes.
I see so much more kindness than people were too busy to be kind, you know.
True.
um yeah, I'm looking at it all positively. Maybe I'm blind, but I don't
Well,
care. I'm happy. Blind but happy. Maybe ignorance is bliss. But yeah, I see it all positively.
I mean, I don't think we could have culminated this interview on a more positive note than this. And I am so hopeful that people will come out and be kind to each other, and hopefully will take a lot of positivity out of this interview.
I
Thank you
hope
so
so.
much.
Thank
Yes.
you,
Thank
Elton.
you so
Always a
much for your time,
pleasure.
Ma. Always a pleasure
Yeah.
indeed. I wish you all the very best, and I'm very,
Thank
very
you.
excited to see uh, what new all of us can witness from you. Whether it's your music, whether it's your live sets. Really excited to see what's new on the horizon. From you.
Thank you. Me too. There's a lot of eggs that need to be hatched. So let's see what happens. I'm also, it's a beautiful time, more time of consciousness.
Yes.
And I think everybody can embrace it positively if they just, you know, go beyond the superficial, you know.
Right.
So I think a beautiful time in history, a beautiful time for all of us to come together and be more soulful.
Right.
And yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing also other people, the creative energy that collectively is going to be unleashed in the next 1 year
Right.
by people having a lot of time and not being driven by an economic need, you know.
Right. Right.
So beautiful times to look forward to, I hope. I will speak to you again, I'm sure.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. And good luck with everything. Take care of you.
Thank you very much. You
All
too.
right. All right.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.